Oh, I look like what I actually am.
That's what I'm saying. You look like a
Word.
college student, dude.
And we are live. What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, Kid Blue watchers, YouTube and Rumble subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush and Kid Blue back at it again with another episode of the Young Guns podcast, episode number 70. The number keeps climbing. I was thinking climbing. I was trying to say climbing, but I was thinking flying. So clying came out. The numbers are flying. The numbers are climbing. Whatever. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Sunday in here, Marjorie Simmons, Jaden the Champ, LaVance, and Luan. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being early. In case you guys did not know, I'm doing a little some interesting
Mm.
for the for members when it comes to Young Guns. So earlier tonight, I posted a question in my members community post section where I was like, I'm gonna do a time slot on Young Guns that would specifically answer or talk about whatever topics the members wanted to talk about. I believe
Mm.
Sunday and Mike Nixon already commented on it. Sunday had a really nice question, and I think Mike had an OBJ question with all the OBJ rumors that's going around and whatnot. And I feel like that would be a really nice addition to the show, and then also a way
I'll
to
def
get the
yeah,
members involved.
I'll definitely put that on mine too, so we could do that on both our shows. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
idea. Good
And
idea.
then Super Taj roll in here as well, and we're gonna get right into it. I mean, we just had Week 8 against the Chiefs. The Giants had a hard-fought, really, really, really close game. Oh yeah, so by the way, if there's any members that didn't get to comment on that, feel free to comment on it until we actually get to that. I think I'll probably do it in the middle towards the end, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, you'll know we'll do our recap like we're doing
Hmm.
right now. Um, it was a very hard-fought game. It was closer than I initially thought it was gonna be. As I was doing my preview video that same day the game was going on, um, I realized that this could be a close one, and the defense showed up. The defense did everything in their power to try and get us to win that game. The offense failed us, reminding me so much of 2020. But as much as the offense failed us, I keep thinking to myself, we're missing our starting left tackle, we're missing our starting center, our starting left guard, our starting running back, our number one receiver, our number two receiver in Sterling Shepard went down. Kadarius Toney was in and out the game. We were just missing so much on the offensive side of the ball. I was like, can I blame them? Can I fairly blame them? And
Right.
believe it or not, I still think that we can. Because guess what? They still ended up scoring 17, and they were still in the position to score
They're
like
still in
24.
position, right?
You know what I'm saying?
And here's why I'm on the fence with that one, and that's a really good point you made. It's like you could still blame this team because of how close they were. Like if this was a blowout type game and Kansas City was still playing like Kansas City has been playing in the past 2 years, and this team was beat up and we got blown out 42-10 or something like that, then I could understand like, hey, this team is beat up. This team is obviously not well equipped to face a team like this, and on top of that, we've got all these injuries. So I could give them a mulligan when it comes to that. But the fact that we had them pretty much right at the end of the game, there was 4 minutes left in the game where we gave the ball back to Kansas City and they got that their game winning field goal. I mean, that we were that close with that team. Now you could always say, hey, I'm sure the offense would have clicked more if we had Andrew Thomas instead of Matt Parrott there and put Matt Parrott on the right tackle side. Things could have looked a lot better in the running game as well, although Devontae Booker ran well with Saquon Barkley there. Kenny Golladay being an addition would have probably factored in as well. Leaving Sterling Shepard in there the whole game, make if he wasn't hurt. And then obviously on the defensive side of the ball, guys like Blake Martinez, guys like Jabril Peppers, you could imagine that things would have looked a little better if they were on the field too. So I could definitely understand both sides, but at the same time, we had them so close with the guys that we had. At that point, it all matters about execution, and you could still blame this team, disregarding all those injuries that they had. They still were in a position to win the game with 4 minutes left in the game, and they couldn't do that. So
Speaking of 4 minutes, we're only 4.5 minutes into the show, but you guys already know it's gonna be.
This is a certified hood classic.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get it.
Before we get more into the recap, of course, let me read a couple of these comments here. Marjorie from way earlier saying, Pharaoh Cooper, wide receiver, signed with the Giants today. He had a 103-yard kickoff return when he played for the Rams way back in 2017. Now, I said way back because, the comment didn't say that, but I had to add way back because that's a long time ago, man.
Yeah, it is. I like Pharaoh Cooper. I think he came out of South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
And we
That's
had
not-
two receivers this year injured on a kickoff/punt return.
Yeah.
What's his name? C.J. Board and Dante Pettis. Funnily enough, I think both of them were broken hands, right?
I think they classify Dante Pettis as a shoulder injury, which is weird because he was holding his arm. Unless he was holding like his forearm and that was supporting his shoulder, because the injury report says shoulder. So I hope nothing serious. I don't think anything serious with Dante Pettis because he's not on IR. Neither is Sterling Shepard. That's a weird one.
We did put, I think, in terms of COVID reserve list, Saquon Barkley and another player on that list today because there was a small
Saquon
outbreak.
Barkley and Xavier McKinney on the COVID reserve list, so they're going to be out at least this week, maybe next week.
I mean,
as well.
and I think we both expected Saquon to not be back until week 11.
Right.
Same with Andrew Thomas. It is a blow with McKinney, though. Luan says the Giants season ain't over. I see wild card. I need to see what you're seeing, Luan. I do. I can.
see wild
The
card.
only way, and I mean the only small sliver of a way this could happen is if we're completely 100% healthy.
I
Week
will
11
say-
all the way to week 18, and Jason Garrett makes adjustments like Patrick Graham made.
My friend, I will say one thing: the NFC is still bad this year. I'm not saying we
NFC
do
or
have a
NFC
chance.
East?
The NFC is still like the AFC is hard. The NFC, the only really division you got to deal with is the NFC West. NFC South has some teams in there too, but we're only one game behind. I think the lead in the NFC North, if I'm not mistaken, as far as wild card goes. I know Green Bay's running away with that division, but I think Minnesota's at 2 wins or 3 wins. Chicago's at 3 wins. And Detroit obviously has no win. So, the NFC is a little easier than the AFC. So I'm giving us a sliver, but I'm not expecting it whatsoever. But we're still technically in the race, which is weird. But it comes down to, I said this in my, therapy session while I was in break on jury duty. But I was in my break in my car, so I did a quick little live stream. I was saying this, and Benjamin Nin says, did you send anybody to jail? No, I sat in a room for about 6 hours. I really wanted to send somebody to jail, but they didn't pick me. But anyway, I was saying this in a live, and it's such an unfortunate situation to sit here as New York Giants fans of let's be honest, a bad football team right now. And we are sitting here, we were sitting here a couple of days ago, looking at this Kansas City game, a team that went to the Super Bowl twice, looking at this game as a must-win game. That's so sad as a franchise that we're looking at this game as a must-win game when this wouldn't have been a must-win game if we would have won the Washington game and we would have won the Atlanta game. Then we would have lost this game and been sitting at 4-4. That's the reality of this situation for the
And
New
I've
York
already
Giants.
said it so many times. It's only been 2 days, but the 2 games you mentioned are the 2 games that reminds me so much of this Kansas City game. Those were 2 games where we just beat ourselves.
yeah.
Specifically,
Penalties
Washington.
kill us, yeah.
Washington and the Chiefs were like the same game that was played. It really was.
Yes, exactly.
Shout out to Ligman here. Harder, faster, stronger. In reference to the song, "Work It Better, Work It Harder, Make It Better." Do it faster, makes us stronger, right? Okay, I got it right that time. AB in the chat, he says, scheme is terrible. If the O-line doesn't improve, we aren't winning anything. Play Wilson over Solder. I don't know. Wilson over Solder.
I'll be honest with you. That time may be coming very soon. Regardless, obviously, I don't know, or anybody knows how good Isaiah Wilson is doing in practice right now. He's on the practice squad, for crying out loud. We don't know that. But at this point, he's a former first-round pick. You might have to just see what the kid does. If we're 2-6 right now, there's nothing you really can do that's going to anger me besides just leaving it as it is. Nate Solder has been atrocious. I tried to stick up for Nate Solder this year. I really did. I literally gave him props for beating out Matt Parrott. But for whatever reason, I don't even know how Matt Parrott lost the job. There's no way Matt Parrott lost a job from production. From lack of production, because Matt Parrott on game day always looks better than Nate Solder. Always. I know Matt Parrott I think his worst game was against Dallas. That was it. Like everything else, he's not really have been a problem. Look at this Kansas City game. I don't know if he gave up a sack. He might have gave up a sack maybe late in the game. But Matt Parrott, we really did not have to call his name. We did not have to. We never said, "Oh my God, there's Matt Parrott getting beat on the edge again," or Matt Parrott with the penalty. Like nothing. And Nate Solder was a constant, even with a terrible pass rush that Kansas City has. I think Nate Solder gave up 2 sacks.
I found it hilarious that Kansas City then immediately traded for Melvin Ingram after our game.
Right.
That was
Right.
kind of funny.
Right.
NYG31 in here, Sly Cooper, Benny from Football Talk with Benny in here, and there's a couple comments I'm gonna highlight real quick where Sly Cooper says bring OBJ home. Another one where NYG31 says Dave Gettleman cost us every game because of bad middle round picks, and then I believe there was another one. Maybe it was just those two, and then shout out to Edward in here as well for those 2 questions. Remember the member question section I mentioned earlier? The 2 questions I got from members actually relate to that. So I'm going to shelf those for, let's say, like the 30-minute mark into the podcast, and then we'll get to that question section. Edward says, Judge won't do that, plus he's not getting off the practice squad in regards to Wilson over Solder. I mean, listen,
wouldn't
Joe
be
Judge better
surprised.
make some changes. I'm not saying start Isaiah Wilson over Solder because I honestly don't know if he's at
Right.
the
We
point
don't
where
know,
he is.
but I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing it.
As a starter, though? Like, I'd throw him out there for a couple snaps.
No, not as a starter. I wouldn't mind seeing him on the field
Mm-hmm.
versus Solder. Maybe do the same thing you did last year when you kind of incorporated Matt Parrott in, every once in a while. I would love to see Isaiah Wilson get a shot because I cannot stand seeing Nate Solder anymore. Like regular old pass rushers are just dominating Nate Solder. He really does not have it anymore, man. I can't. There's nothing more to really chop it up. It doesn't really matter whether you want to say, he's distracted because of his NFL issue, his issues off the field, or maybe he's just, 1 year removed from football and needs to get back, or is he just older? It doesn't even matter. At this point, he's just bad. He needs to get off the field.
Listen, I just want to say this. Levance has clearly been stalking me because if you read his comment, says Brother Hub busting out the Gillette Fusion Pro
Oh,
Glide with
no.
Flex Ball Razor. That's the
Oh, my
exact
God.
razor I use, bro.
Oh my God.
That is the exact razor that I use.
This man is watching.
Not even joking. And a funny story, on my 18th birthday, for some odd reason, I got it for free. Gillette gifted it to me for free. It's not like I had anything with them. It came in a nice little package. I guess random story time, right? And Gillette, I've never signed up for Gillette anything.
Was this before or after your Manscaped promotion?
Bro, I'm 18. We're talking 2018. I didn't even make the
Oh,
channel yet. I made the channel in early
okay.
2019.
Oh wow.
Right? So this is my
Okay.
18th birthday in 2018, right? And the package, and it came with a little letter. I'm like, I've never signed up for Gillette anything. I don't think I've ever bought Gillette products before. It's just random. I found it kind of creepy. I'm like, how you guys know my name? How do you know where I live? But it said it like gave a message about, oh, young men across America need to learn how to shave. And on your 18th birthday, we're gifting you a free Gillette Pro Guide Fusion with the Flex
How
Ball
the
razor.
hell did they get the information?
It came with 3 refills of the razors, and they're like, we're doing this to multiple young men across the country. I was like, that's
I never got
random.
one.
I'm like, that's so random. Well, I mean, we're not the same age, but that was so random, bro. I was like, oh, okay, free razor. I'm gonna take it, and it's a good razor. I love it. I still
So
have it 3 years
in
later.
2018, you turned 18.
Yeah,
So you're born in 2000.
yeah.
Okay. So I turned 18 in 2016, I think. So it's not too far removed, man. They should have gave me a freaking razor.
I don't know, man. Listen, bro, you're just not Gillette special.
Damn,
I
man.
don't know. Maybe they heard
They
me
coulda had
talking
a
mad
customer.
smack about Brady and the Patriots back then because that was still a thing. And they were like, we need to win this guy over. They're like, come be a Patriots fan or
Oh
something. I don't
God.
know. Now that I just completely distracted us from all that. F-Stars in here as well. Aditya Shah, Michael B, Sober Party. Let's quickly get back. And yeah, we could definitely talk about the Henry Ruggs situation, Edward Chan, after this. But let's quickly circle back to the Chiefs game and just your recap, your thoughts on it. Let the people hear what you got to say because they've definitely heard me in just a span of 2 days beat the horse to death with it.
Right. I'll be honest with you, man. After the game and I made my video, I don't know. Everybody, it just seemed like everybody else, not pointing anybody out, but like seeing everybody on Twitter getting really emotional, just like wanted to hurt somebody. I seen freaking. I'm not gonna call anybody out, but like I seen like certain Twitter personalities call out like other Giants fans and stuff like that, talking about their like cancer to the craziness after a Chiefs loss, after a loss to a team which we almost beat, to a team that went to 2 straight Super Bowls. You can't be mad at that. Like, I'm mad that we lost the way we did. I'm mad that it was so close in arm's reach, but we couldn't reach it. I'm more heartbroken than mad though. Like, I'm just saddened by it that we literally lost on national television like that. But I'm not saying, fire everybody, fire Joe Judge. Oh my God, he's terrible. Fire Dave Gettleman. There are so many other games you guys could have pointed to say fire Judge and Gettleman. This was not the game. This
was a game where it's like, once again, I'm gonna keep saying it, is just so much like Washington, where it's the team beat itself.
Right.
But it's on another level because of what you're saying, the opponent that we were facing.
Exactly, the opponent that we're facing. Like, if you wanted to rant and rage about Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge, I would point to Atlanta. I would point to Washington. I would point to the Dallas game for us not adjusting, and especially Jason Garrett, who usually calls a good game against that team. Okay, so I mean, there's plenty of other games to point to really try to plead your case of why we should get rid of Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge. This was not the game. I know there was some questionable calls out there, and I'm really getting fed up with Joe Judge when it comes to these calls. You know that 4th down and 2 from the 4-yard line where we kicked a field goal when we had the chance to get 2 yards and get another 4 tries there. I thought that was absurd, but that's rookie head coach.
Oh, real quick, by the way, yeah. KB, is your headset working fine?
Yes.
Do you know what that's a reference to?
Oh,
you're not that guy.
Yeah, yes.
You're not that guy.
This man,
listen,
Joe
guys,
Judge.
My headset hasn't been working
for 8 weeks. 8 straight weeks.
It's 70 weeks. We're 70 weeks inside of Young Guns right now, and my headset is not working. And that's something has to change. The NFL needs to do something about it, and quick. I'm talking 70 weeks ago. Quickly, let's go on a tangent real quick about that damn headset. Okay?
Bro, when I saw it, and a good amount of people know on here, I'm looking off to the side because there's like a little religious small fire over there, and it set off the fire alarm literally before we start. So I'm worried it's about to set off the fire alarm again.
Oh,
when it goes beep beep beep.
In your hallway, or you're inside your house?
No, it's just a little thing. It's a cultural thing, right?
No, I'm talking about the fire alarm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fire alarm
the smoke alarm. I mean, my bad, the smoke alarm, yeah.
Yeah, the smoke alarm in your house or the smoke alarm in the hallway?
No, in here.
Oh, damn. Oh, hell no.
Yeah, no, so I was just saying, I'm keeping my eye on that. But when I saw that, a lot of you know, or if you didn't know, now you do. I host a Twitter space, or co-host a Twitter space with Pest the Analyst and Vibes.
I gotta get in that, man. I gotta get in there.
Get in it. And Vibes Eli Rax on Twitter, like, I'd say 45 minutes after every game. When we hopped in that Twitter space, we reacted to it live, and I guarantee you, not one person bought anything Joe Judge said. That was complete cap. That was complete BS. That makes no type of sense.
I completely agree. As someone that likes to plead everybody's case and try to understand everybody's situation, even if I don't agree with them, I always try to put myself in the shoes of the other person that I don't agree with and try to understand it. And that's why, I guess I've become an apologist for like a Dave Gettleman or Daniel Jones or whatever the case is. But that was I was like, you have to be kidding me. The NFL must be laughing at all of us right now. I cannot believe after 8 weeks of football being played in multiple stadiums that you come out and say after a primetime loss, my headsets aren't working and they haven't been working all year, and that's why we have to call these timeouts. Are you kidding me? 8 weeks into the season and you're just now publicizing it? It's like basic human logic that if you make something public, it's going to force any person you work for, it's going to force them to fix the issue because you made it public and now the eyes are on the NFL. If you would have made this public week 1 that the headsets aren't working, they would have looked into it immediately once you publicized it and all the beat writers are hearing about it. You would definitely get an answer from the NFL. And check this out. The NFL answered and said there was nothing wrong with the Bose headsets.
Bruh.
The NFL came out about 6 to 10 hours later and said, by the way, we looked into it. Nothing seems to be the problem.
What?
They said it. The NFL came out and said nothing was wrong. And I don't know if Joe Judge responded to this situation, but you're telling me for 8 weeks the NFL had I don't know. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. The NFL literally came out and said,
Bro, what are you
we're
talking
not
about,
finding
man?
anything wrong with the headsets. And
What
I
the,
retweeted it. I
what the
retweeted it and
NFL
said
just said is the Russell Westbrook soundbite I have. That's what the NFL said, where he's like, "What are you talking about, man?"
What?
Yeah, you tripping, man.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yo,
Yes,
I did not
yes,
notice.
I retweeted it. I'm gonna tag you. I'm gonna retweet it again and tag you in it. So I don't know if you want to put it on the stream. It shows the whole article. I think Art Stapleton kind of paraphrased it. Let me go down here.
And
But yeah.
while you find that,
Mhm.
of course, shout out to Wild Child Mac, the Giants fan in here, Jay Fed, Jalen Weira, Mark Primetime. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bronze in here as well. Bronze says, "Hello, Hub and Kid. My Joe Judge headsets are still for sale." He's been selling headsets since that game, as you can see in the chat. You know what I'm saying? I actually added, I tagged Joe Judge on Twitter, even though he doesn't use his Twitter account, and I linked him to the Bose wireless headset that's like been so good for me for years and years and years, and it's never failed me. I think he should pick them up. They're from Best Buy. I'm pretty sure on an NFL coach's salary he could afford them. They're like $300. For the regular man, that's expensive. For Joe Judge, that's cheap. I just go in there, walk into Best Buy, bro, pick up
sent it
some
to your
wireless
Twitter
headsets, and
DMs.
you'll be good.
I sent it to your Twitter DMs. This is what R. Stapleton paraphrased. There's a whole article on it, and there's a whole paragraph that the NFL pretty much put. But this was Art Stapleton kind of paraphrasing.
You
Real
could
quick.
you could read it out loud since sharing screen is gonna be iffy here, but you could read it out loud.
Okay, so what Art Stapleton, he only paraphrased like 2 sentences out of a whole article, but pretty much the gist of it was, this is from the NFL. I don't know who exactly from the NFL, but just them as a company. It says, "We are looking into the matter with all involved parties. However, we are confident that nothing is attributable to the Bose headset. We have not been able to identify an issue in last night's game."
Yo,
Yeah.
I don't know. Marjorie, what did you see? You saw the tweet?
I'm gonna try to find the full article and then I'll read. I guess I'll try to read as much just so we can laugh.
Just so we could laugh, and I mean, I don't want to laugh, bro. My head coach is acting like a clown. You kidding me?
I cannot believe, like, I would expect that from like Pat Shermer or Ben McAdoo. And you know what's funny? Ben McAdoo, once upon a time, there was somebody reminded me there was a picture on it that, once this whole headset thing started breaking down, Ben McAdoo had to revert to using walkie-talkies.
I remember that.
Walkie-talkies.
That was 2017.
I remember that. Yeah, the 2017 we reverted to using walkie-talkie. Ben freaking McAdoo.
Figure something out. And
Figure something out.
we're just entertaining the idea that what he said is true. Because I think we all know it's not true, but we're just entertaining the idea. Because one thing he's been really terrible at both years now is managing timeouts, in my opinion. And this is what I will say. For the most part, during the Kansas City game, timeout management was actually not that bad. It was like literally in the clutch is where it was terrible. Like the last 5 minutes of the game, it was terrible. Where we let the clock run down all the way to 2-minute warning when there was like 35 seconds left. That's when it got really bad. So, I mean, I'll say that. And I want to respond to Mark's, I don't see it here anymore, but Mark Primetime made a comment on Daniel Jones. He was like, not a shot to Daniel Jones or anything, but he feels like he should be able to make a play happen instead of having to, the team waste a timeout. I would agree with you because I've been seeing a lot of Daniel Jones, like, not necessarily haters, but people are saying, is he really the guy if he can't, like, if we're seeing other quarterbacks do more with kind of the same level of talent, or like the same level of thing. And I'm just like, we gotta consider the amount of injuries. And the thing is,
not only that is like,
I don't think anybody's ever said Daniel Jones is like a Superman quarterback, the elite
Right.
quarterback where there's like only
Right.
5 to 10 of them in the league. Like,
Right.
I think he's pretty much an average QB. And
One thing I
you
will
could
say-
survive with an average QB in the league.
One thing I will say to defend Daniel Jones is not only because a lot of teams suffer injuries, but they have depth, right? Like, I guess you could say we have depth at the wide receiver position, but it's like they're so inconsistent, and the offensive line is completely trash. Like, it's just trash. Okay, but there's that, and another thing is that the offense hasn't really been given to Daniel Jones. He's only, listening to what he has to say. Maybe he has a couple audibles he's able to do in that play. But like, I'm not saying that he should have complete control of an offense like Hall of Fame quarterbacks, like even Eli did, Peyton did, Aaron Rodgers does, maybe Patrick Mahomes does now. But give him a little bit more control of the offense. Like, when I see audibling from Daniel Jones, I see only like one receiver like move up a little bit and another motion here or whatever. Like, I want to see a whole play audible. I want to see Daniel Jones completely take control of an offense, or at least a couple of times. Give him that chance to work with his offense. He's the one that's throwing the ball. He's the one that's has that I guess camaraderie with those players. And I feel like that's another thing holding him back, that he's just pretty much taking a call and trying to run with it, even if he probably doesn't even agree with the play call, and that in turn is going to hinder his play. I really want him to be able to kind of make something his own, man. Make the offense his own. And it seems like he's just playing like a really good. You can tell he's not a game manager. Like, Daniel Jones, you can tell is not a game manager, but they make him play as one. They don't make him. The reason why.
Yo, what did I say at the beginning of the year, bro? I said I feel like they're trying to make him into rookie year Dak Prescott, and by day I mean Jason Garrett.
Yeah, and they're just trying to make sure that he doesn't make a mistake. But you're trying to make the guy into a game manager. He's clearly not. He has one of the best deep balls in the NFL. And it was an interesting stat that somebody said on Twitter. I do not remember who said this, but they said that Daniel Jones did not throw a ball over 10 yards more than 3 times. Did not attempt a ball over 10 yards more than 3 times.
Speaking of deep balls and like Daniel Jones making those deep throws, one of our best wide receivers this year, even though the production isn't there because he doesn't get targets, has been John Ross. Even though every single time we throw to this man, he comes down with it. You know what I'm saying? He makes a play.
I know.
Same thing. Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, same thing overall with deep shots on this team, which has been lacking since last year. I'm not about to get on here and defend Darius Slayton at all. Don't mistake me. However, there is something to be said when the dude is only getting 2 targets a game. Now, it's on him for not taking advantage of it and consistently like dropping those 2 targets. But for people wondering why his production has dropped off, I mean, because he's getting like 2 targets a game. You're not going to make anything out of that. And by the way, shout out to Miz in the chat. We got Adrian Tomayoso in the chat, Jim, along with the world heavyweight champion of the world. And he says woo, so I'm guessing that's Ric Flair. What up, Ric Flair? How you doing, man?
Oh, man. And whenever you guys have those Twitter spaces, give me a text, bro. I need to get it in those, man. Because I've been trying to get in those bigger freaking Twitter spaces, and I'm not noticed. But it is what it is. Those ones with like thousands of people in there.
That one hasn't happened literally since like the first time it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Looking forward. Well, actually, we have 2 minutes to go before I hit the questions section. And you know what? Let me just hit it right now because I really want to start talking about the Raiders and the rest of the Giants season. But like I said earlier, members on the members section of the channel, now every Wednesday you will have a chance to post a question or topic that you want us to discuss during the Young Guns podcast. I did it this week. I'm going to quickly pull up the I believe it was 2 comments that I got. So 2 questions that I got. One was from Sunday, one was from Mike. Let me go over there. And yep, I have it pulled up. And let us begin. I do have a little GIF and sound for this one as well.
Asking all them questions. Asking all them questions. Why you asking all them questions?
Okay, bet. So, first one from Sunday. She says, how do you compare General Manager Jerry Reese to General Manager Dave Gettleman? And there's a 2-part question. I'm going to leave the second part as a separate one, though. But how do you compare Jerry Reese to Dave Gettleman? Go ahead, KB. What's your answer?
As far as similarities or differences?
As just as what they've done for the team and building the team or failing to build the team.
Yeah. I feel like both of them try to build this team in a similar way, but one of them didn't care. Like, one of them just did what he did, and that's Jerry Reese. The other one kind of bamboozled us and told us he would build the team a certain way and just didn't do it. Like, he told us he would be able to, like Dave Gettleman told us, we're going to be able to build that offensive line, build a defensive line, which I guess you could say he didn't neglect the offensive line and defensive line. We just didn't put enough talent there, trying to be okay with a free agent, a center like Nick Gates, which don't get me wrong, I like Nick Gates, but just being comfortable with leaving him there with barely any depth, and then throwing a guy like Shane Lemieux, who we know struggled, and putting him in there. Dave Gettleman has been pretty much I don't know, just hasn't been keeping up with what he said he was going to do when he first got here. We thought he was going to really change the kind of mindset of the scouting room in this team. It doesn't seem like much of the drafting has really changed too much. Like, although I really love Dave Gettleman's drafting, I don't know. I just feel like besides drafting wide receivers, really early, except Kadarius Toney and getting like skill players in there, I feel like Jerry Reese and Dave Gettleman have been pretty similar. And that goes with big contracts too. Look at 2016 with Jerry Reese, get over $200 million in that year that they pretty much put on 4 players. And then this year, we threw out a lot of money trying to make a bad team a win now team. They both, I would say, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, try to say that Jerry Reese was a better. I guess we forgot how bad Jerry Reese really was. We really forgot how bad Jerry Reese really was. This is a guy that did not care about the linebacker position, did not care about the offensive line position. Talk about just flat out missing on guys like Dave Gettleman has. We never even addressed the offensive line.
No, we did. That's where I disagree.
I mean, Eric Flowers is like the only guy.
Jerry Reese and Dave Gettleman are more similar than you think, I think, especially when it comes to the offensive line. They both drafted a lot of guys. Weston Richburg, they both drafted. There was another guard that we drafted as well in the mid-rounds, similar to how we drafted Shane Lemieux in the mid-rounds. Jerry Reese drafted, I want to say, 3 or 4 offensive linemen. Yeah,
you're right. Justin Pugh.
It's just that they didn't work out. Similar to how with Dave Gettleman, the only guy that it's similar but not the same, but we actually have a legit tackle in Thomas, but everybody else not so much working out.
Absolutely, and I guess that adds to the point. They are very, very similar.
They're very similar.
Sucks. And it really sucks because we really thought Dave Gettleman was different. We really thought Dave Gettleman was going to build this team through the draft. I mean, that's what really the focal point was, to build the team through the draft. That's why we were accumulating picks, constantly accumulating picks, especially in the mid-rounds.
It's not for lack of effort. He's definitely made effort towards doing it. It's just that, like, if we – and I guess give my answer on it right now. When it comes to comparing Reese and Dave Gettleman, they're similar. However, they had different goals when they came in. Reese came in on an already built team in 2007 that won the Super Bowl, and his goal was to continue, to win Super Bowls. And I technically won a second Super Bowl in 11 to 12 year, and then from there it just went all downhill. Because from there we stopped drafting we stopped drafting edge rushers, we stopped drafting D linemen. We started focusing a little bit more on weapons, and then when we got back to trying to draft for the trenches and the offensive line, it was just terrible players that we were taking. Dave Gettleman came in and he was supposed to build a completely new team while getting rid of old players at the same time, right? But it's much of the same. We've drafted more trench players, I feel like. With Gettleman, it hasn't panned out, and to a certain extent, it's very fair to say you can't answer this question yet because we're only entering year 4, which means the oldest player he's drafted is only now entering their 4th season. Right, you know what I'm saying? And so we still got this draft class to judge and stuff like that. But I will say, in regards to a comment that one of the viewers said earlier, which is that he misses a lot. This is Dave Gettleman in the mid-rounds. I don't know if miss is the right word.
Yeah,
but it's certainly
I want to
the reason for that. I guess the reason for not getting consistently good picks in the mid-rounds is the reason that we're bad.
I want to really talk about that because I beg to differ when it comes to mid-round picks for Dave Gettleman. If I'm being honest, he blows Jerry Reese out the water when it comes to that. Do we not remember guys like Olamide Odigizua, Demontre Moore, who's that guy? Who's that defensive tackle we had next to Jay Bromley, J-Ron Hosley? These are all mid-round picks that freaking sucked. Mikael Thompson, by the way, interesting guy. He's one I will never forget because he had undrafted grades on him, and we drafted him in the 4th round, safety out of Texas, who was mostly a special teams player in college, and we drafted him in the 4th round. Okay, I remember Mikael Thompson very well. There was Jerry Reese. The mid rounds were basically useless for Jerry Reese. When it comes to Dave Gettleman, here's where I will defend Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman never made a pick in those mid rounds, in my opinion, that I thought was terrible value. Now, whether that pick worked out or not, that is, I think, in my opinion, that is up to coaching and execution, lack of execution, and maybe Dave Gettleman, misread a player, miscouted a player. But in my opinion, I think he did well. You look at those mid rounds, getting a guy like Darnay Holmes, he had basically what could have been the game winning pick in this game. Okay, we still get to see what we have for Ellerson Smith. Guys like Lorenzo Carter, I think, are good. Like and then Darius Slayton. Say what you want about Darius Slayton, he led us in receiving yards 2 years in a row. I mean, we've constantly hit on guys in those mid rounds 3 to 5 with Dave Gettleman that we've ever done with Jerry Reese, and Jerry Reese has had plenty of drafts. Like just the guys I mentioned, like I said, Jay Bromley, J. Ron Hosley, Demontre Moore, just terrible guys, Avery Moss. Like we could keep going on and on and on with Jerry Reese picks. They were all terrible in the mid rounds. I don't think we ever really hit on one in the mid round ever. I mean, we can go back. Was Ramses Barden? Was he a third round pick? I can't remember, but. I can keep going on with it, man.
Let's go over the mid-round picks Gettleman has made, starting with 2018, right? So Hernandez,
Well,
Carter,
Hernandez is more like an early still. I think 3 to 5 is more
3
like
to 5. Okay, let's say 3 to 5 then, right? So it would be Carter, B.J. Hill, Kyle Laletta, R.J. McIntosh. That was around 3 to 5 in 2018.
And
none of those guys are going to be part of the team next year.
Right, I would agree with you, and that's when it comes to, in my opinion. That happened after the draft. If we look at the draft as it was, those were good value. Lorenzo Carter was.
They were, and you know what? I completely agree. I'll always say this: when the draft happens, as in draft day, we always have a good draft because those guys went where they were supposed to go.
And Loletta's good. Loletta's decent. He's a good backup quarterback, which he was drafted in the 4th round. I mean, not every 4th round pick is going to be a Dak Prescott or a Kirk Cousins or something like that. These guys were drafted in the 4th round, but Kyle Loletta is still, as far as the preseason. I know it's just the preseason, but he looked like the best quarterback in the preseason this year.
But that leads me to my next point. These are good drafts when they happen, and the players don't pan out. That's more on coaching.
That's what I said. That's what I've been trying to say, that it's more on lack of execution, lack of getting the most out of your players. And I guess the petty people that really hate Dave Gettleman could still attribute that to Dave Gettleman, saying, well, he hired the coaches. But at the same time, the coaches really have the responsibility of developing those players. And if you don't do that, look at the situation right now with Odell Beckham. Look at the situation. Like, I think anybody would have killed to have Odell Beckham on the team. It's not working out right now. That is because of just the coaching job over there. Although Stefanski seems to be doing a decent job over there, it seems to be in shambles right now with Odell Beckham. So it's all, you can have the best players. I said this on the stream I did yesterday as well. You can, like in the NBA, to make it simple, you can have the best 5 players in the NBA put on one team. But if they don't execute, if you don't have the proper coaching, they could be the worst team in that league because of the lack of coaching. There's only so much talent can really get you, especially in a game of football when there's 22 people on the field. Mm-hmm. So it's all coaching. It's all good. And I'm not giving a mulligan to Dave Gettleman. I'm just saying it's different from Jerry Reese when you draft a guy like Darnay Holmes, who's starting with us consistently, who was drafted in the 4th round, rather than Jerry Reese, who drafted a guy like Mikael Thompson in the 4th round. So there's a huge difference there. Huge difference.
AB, you're right, by the way. He says, I'm not blaming this on Gettleman, but when the O-line is bad, the blame has to go back to the GM. You're right in that statement. It's just that, bro, starting left tackle out, starting left guard out, starting center out. That's 3/5 of your starting line out. I mean, and then even backups to those guys were outs as well. So
yeah,
I'm really not sure how you're expecting second, third string guys to perform as first string guys. And you know what? They don't have to be that, but they have to be at least good. And this is where I will agree with you a little bit. Our depth on this team is terrible. Our depth on this team really is bad because they're not supposed to be this bad. They're not supposed to look as if they, just came off the streets. They're not supposed to look as if they had no coaching in the week, no preparation, and that's what they look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's the type of players that we're getting, or if it once again just goes back to how the coaches are preparing them.
I think it really is because like you look at good teams out there, and like I said, it's hard to compare this team to a good team. But if you want to be a good team, you have guys like the Packers. The Packers always have guys in that secondary that nobody ever heard of before, and they perform. You know what I'm saying? You got guys like with the Chiefs. Although the Chiefs' defense is bad, it's been bad for years now. It's just been at its all-time low. They've still been able to get away with players like Charvarius Ward and Fenton and all these just random dudes off the street that no one ever heard of, and they're starting. At the end of the day, with the talent you've been given, you have to learn how to get around that with
There
coaching.
goes the fire
There
alarm.
it goes.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm just gonna mute my mic.
You good. You good. But I will say that there are some guys that Dave Gettleman brought in that I think have been a better addition to the team. Look at guys like Benardrick McKinney, who we just brought in here. He's been a really good asset to stopping the run for us. You look at guys like who did we just bring in? Quincy Roche. Quincy Roche did a really that's so funny. Quincy Roche did a really good job for us. He started this last game against the Chiefs. So that's just pure comedy. That's awesome. Just please. Yeah, he warned us about that, guys. If you guys are just tuning in, he warned us about that. Apparently, they're doing some sort of smoke, I guess religious sort of thing outside.
The thing
of
is,
his,
it's just a small
house.
flame. I'm surprised that it's really causing that much. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Yeah. So he warned us ahead of time, so he knew it was gonna happen. Times World says the pizza rolls are ready.
I wish I had pizza rolls, but go ahead, continue on your point.
But I will say, although the depth in this team is, I guess you could say, bad, I still look at this team on paper, besides the offensive line, I think that the offensive line sucks. But besides the offensive line, I still think, even though with the injuries that we had, I don't think we have a bad roster on paper. I think Benardrick McKinney is a really good addition. This is a guy who started for the Texans for years since he's been drafted. He was a former second-round pick.
And
I
also,
think.
Keon Crossing had a pretty good game.
Keon Crossing had a pretty good game. Quincy Roche, who we just brought in, and look how Dave Gettleman just swoops up and gets guys that were sleepers in the draft. Like, he's constantly doing that. So, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think
to bring it to a close. Yeah, to bring it to a close.
Yeah, to bring it to a close, I really feel like Dave Gettleman has done a way better job
Than Jerry Reese.
Jerry Reese as far as bringing in the talent. I just think it's been very similar production.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing from the comments I want to address before I move to the second part of Sunday's question, which was the members question. So that's why we're addressing it, members section right now, where she says we need to run another running back. Just using Booker and Penny once in a while is not cutting it. We have another running back. I've been saying it for weeks. Use Gary Brightwell, but they don't want to use Gary Brightwell. We don't know what we're gonna have in Gary Brightwell until
Me and you have been on the Gary Brightwell train forever now.
Yeah. And now to get to the second part of Sunday's
Asking all them
question.
questions.
Oh yeah,
Asking all them questions. Why you asking all them questions?
She says, compare the three coaches, Joe Judge, Pat Shurmur, Ben McAdoo. So basically our last
Rank
three
'em?
coaches.
So rank them.
Not rank. She says compare. You can rank them if you wish.
Okay, I guess
but,
the
yeah.
best way I can do that is to pretty much rank them.
Ben McAdoo has the best record out of all of them.
Ben McAdoo, and I was literally, here's my order: Pat Shurmur, Ben McAdoo, and I would have to
Wow.
put Joe Judge.
Wow. Yo.
Yes. No, not from the best. I think from the worst. I'm going from the worst.
Okay.
I'm going from the worst. I think Pat Shurmur was the worst. I think Ben McAdoo was second, and then I know Joe Judge does not have the wins, and I know he doesn't have the wins. I just feel like as a head coach, he's a far better head coach than any of those two guys are, and he's still a rookie. He's still learning. I know a lot of people are going to throw the freaking time management at me, but he's a rookie head coach. All rookie head coaches are going to have problems with time management, especially one that never had any head coaching job ever at any level, okay? He's never been on a head coaching position at any level. So he's going to have those issues. But I would have to put Joe Judge already, like, the first thing you have to be as a head coach is a leader. Before anything else, forget about the football mind and scheming up, stuff like that. The first thing you have to be as a head coach is a leader of men. Although Pat Shurmur really had, I guess, some of the, like, Odell loved Pat Shurmur, Saquon liked Pat Shurmur. A lot of these guys like Pat Shurmur, okay? But he was soft. He wasn't a lead. He wasn't like a guy you're gonna run through a wall for. These players, look at the Chiefs game. Look at the roster we went out there with. They fought in that game. They did not give up in that game. You rarely see a Joe Judge team give up. I know we think that because we're very emotional when we see these games, and when we wind up getting blown out, we've only been blown out with a Joe Judge team maybe 3 or 4 times in 2 seasons. That's way better than a Pat Shurmur team, or way better than a freaking Ben McAdoo team where we were constantly blown out in 2017. But that being said, Joe Judge is the leader of men. He has time management issues. Every rookie head coach is going to have a big problem with them that they need to fix. And I'm willing to move past that with experience. I think he's going to grow out of that. He's being a little baby, blaming headsets. I get that. But I think he's a far better head coach than Ben McAdoo was. Now, Ben McAdoo, I'm putting him second because the record does mean something. The record does mean something, but I will tell you that he fell off a cliff. He would be the best. He would be the best, but it fell off a cliff because, one, he was not a leader of men. This guy clearly did not give a damn about the well-being of his players. He did not care about, he never had a relationship with these players. He never had a camaraderie with these players. He was just the head coach. He was just the play caller because he called the plays there as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he was a great coordinator for us. I think Eli Manning had close to one of his career years in 2015 when Ben McAdoo first came in. Ben McAdoo first came in 2014 when we drafted Odell, and I think 2015 is when Eli Manning really hit it off there. But that being said, Ben McAdoo was a great offensive mind, great coordinator for us. When he came into that head coaching role, he really did not bring a head coaching presence. He was not a leader of men. He's not a guy you're going to run through a wall for. He threw players under the bus. He would constantly blame players instead of blaming himself or his coaching staff during presses and during post-game conferences and stuff like that. And that's why I got to put Ben McAdoo at second. Third is Pat Shurmur. I think Pat Shurmur is a great offensive mind as well. I just think he had no clue how to coach a football team. Not only did he have terrible time management, just like Joe Judge, this is a guy who's been a head coach before. In, I think, 2 separate occasions, he was an interim head coach, and then he was a head coach. No excuse from Pat Shurmur. No excuse at all. He was dead. Nobody cared about his press conferences. He put the same cookie-cutter comments and everything. Although he had a little bit of camaraderie, more than Ben McAdoo was, he never had the record to prove it. So in my ranking, and therefore my closing statement, my ranking would be Joe Judge number 1. I know it sounds crazy, but Joe Judge number 1, Ben McAdoo number 2, and Pat Shurmur number 3. I thought Pat Shurmur was the worst.
I really want to rank all of them the same. I really want to put all of them on the same level because they each have something that's good and they each
all have
their
their value of suck to it.
Yeah, they all suck to me. As of right now, of course, Judge could turn it around. We'll see if that happens. But they all suck to me right now as of November 3rd, 2021. Like we'll start off in order. Like with Ben McAdoo, just as you said. The record does matter, and at the end of the day, he had the best record out of those 3 head coaches that we've had. 2016, in my opinion, is still very much a fluke of a season, but it was a fluke of a season that he was the head of the ship of. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
2017.
That's why I had to rank him at second, because although he had a great 2016 season, he fell off a freaking cliff. Like, Janoris Jenkins flat out just missed tackles trying to get him fired. Like that, they hated Ben McAdoo.
And I was gonna say, like in 2017, the team was really bad. That has a lot to do with the fact that they didn't do anything in the offseason to address weaknesses that were very clear. And then, of course, towards the second half of the season, everybody gave up on him. And Ben McAdoo so far has been, out of these 3 coaches, the only one where the guys legit gave up on him. Like we saw that.
Check this out. He was the only one out of the 3 head coaches that had the best record one year and the worst record
the next year. Yeah.
The next year.
Hilarious.
He had 3-13 in 2017, which is the worst out of any of the 3 head coaches, and then 11-5 in the first year, which is the best of any of the 3 coaches. So he literally had the best and the worst of the 2 head coaches.
And then with Pat Shurmur, and this goes for both Shurmur and Judge, they just couldn't win. However, Shurmur as of right now, I think has a better record than Judge, right? He had he had 5-4, 9 wins. I'm wrong about that because Judge had 6 wins. We have 2 right now. Okay, so Judge is 1 game away from tying up Pat Shurmur's record, right? But with Shurmur, head coaching wise, I do feel like we forget just how ineffective as a head coach Pat Shermer was.
He was clueless. I mean, look at the sidelines.
We-
He looked clueless.
We really do forget that we were calling this dude Snoopy. Like,
Yeah.
people forget
yeah.
that. People forget all the problems that we did have with Pat Shermer, and much of it, or at least one point of it, the timeouts is very much the same thing we have with Judge right now. But Shermer was not a guy that was meant to be a coach of an entire team. He was very clearly a good example of offensive coordinator that should stay at offensive coordinator, because our offense was great under him. Our offense hasn't been great since Pat Shermer left. But that was really about the only thing, with James Betcher as his defensive coordinator. That defense wasn't really good in either of 2018 or 2019, if we're going to be honest. They were always at best middle of the pack, but they were always in the 20s when it came to rankings. Shermer, if we're going to talk about acquiring players, you guys remember Pat Shermer's free agency when we had Connor Barwin as like our edge rushing talent that we signed and stuff like that?
Connor Barwin and Kareem Martin.
Yeah.
And we paid. Check this out. We paid. You guys thought Dave Gettleman's freaking. No. Well, hold on. That was
Dave Gettleman.
Dave Gettleman paid this man $8.5 million. I
Yeah.
think a year. $8.5 million a year, and got rid of Devon Kennard, who they could pay the same money for.
And that's why I'm going back to Shermer with that, because they work hand in hand to build a roster. But yeah, under Shermer, we had a pretty terrible roster in 2018 and even in 2019.
It was the Carolina, Arizona Giants.
the New York Cardinals and the Carolina
Panthers.
Giants, man.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And Tudo, I'll get to your super chat in a second. But we really do forget how ineffective of a head coach Pat Shermer was. I feel like that gets swept under the rug because of how bad we are right now. But he was not a good head coach.
And one thing I will add to that, I'll let you continue. One thing I will add to that is that Pat Shermer was so lazy with building the roster, because although I know Dave Gettleman at the end of the day makes the calls, Pat Shermer definitely had an influence on that roster. Pat Shermer was so lazy to get guys in there. He literally went off of his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Mike Shula, the
Oh
former,
my God!
guy
Real
from
quick, Easy
Carolina.
Lopez just brought up another
Yeah.
one. Antoine Bethea.
Antoine Bethea, yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, you also got a super chat too.
Yeah, no, I said I'll get it when we finish when we
Oh,
wrap
okay,
up this
okay.
question.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
But yeah, Pat Shermer was so lazy. He really got his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator to get those guys that they had prior teams. Like Mike Shula got his guys from Carolina, James Betcher got his guys from Arizona, and they kind of just mashed it together and just, what do we got? That's a win now team, And I definitely blame Dave Gettleman as well, but I really think Pat Shermer had a really big
And then of
part in
course,
that as well.
like Super Taj is saying, Shermer, we had the longest losing streak with him, 9-game losing streak. I think even under McAdoo in 2017, I don't think we had a 9-game losing streak, right? And then now we get to Joe Judge, who's in the process of being judged, pun intended. But he had a good first year where he overachieved, and now in his second year he's underachieving, which is part of me wants him to stay for a third year so we could see, all right, which one is the real you, man? Is it the guy that overachieved and that could work magic with its, what was a bad roster, or is it the guy when given talent, bad luck strikes, you get injuries and you
Right.
can't adjust? You know what I'm saying? But that's not even what I'm saying right now. I do think as a coach, Judge is probably the best coach out of all of them. I'm not quite convinced like you are that he's the best leader out of all of them. I really do think he's probably on the same level, because I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with Joe Judge. He obviously lies a lot. I mean, we call him a fraud jokingly, but in those jokes, there's some sort of truth to it. So I'm not sure if he really is as great of a leader as we some fans paint him out to be. And then of course with the discipline and fundamentals thing is where he really, really does lose me. But as a coach, I do think he's the best coach. We when it comes to just paper and pen football, schematics and stuff like that. I do think that. So that's why I really got all of them on the same level. Like, they all suck at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And before you give your response to that real quick, shout out to Tudo Azuri for the $5 super chat. He says if the Giants hold their pants up long enough against the Raiders losers, Raiders will lose their second eye very quickly. We'll have to see, and we're definitely going to get into talking about the Raiders in a split second, because I do have one more member question. It was from Mike, and this one I feel like we could answer a bit quicker. But first, anything you want to say to my last comments there?
No, not really.
But so then now
Yeah.
Mike Nixon, the other member that commented on the post this one is not necessarily Giants related, which is why I think we could answer it a bit more quickly. I know some people are not going to like this question. He says, so with Odell possibly being cut, would he be willing to take a discount to come back? Would you do it? And if not, where do you think he's going? I think he's going to Vegas or the Saints or even possibly the Rams. So Odell ain't coming back. We need to stop these fairy tale fantasies. All right. Odell was a great player for us when he was here. He was a great wide receiver, a great talent. I feel like I love Odell Beckham Jr. All right. He was legitimately one of the only reasons I watched the Giants from 2014 to 2016, 2017. That is a fact for me. However, I don't feel like he's done anything legendary per se for the Giants where it would be like, at the end of his career, he'd sign a one-day contract to retire in New York Giants, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to say no. Let's stop the fairy tale fantasies. If it happens, it happens, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, as far as Odell Beckham goes, there's no way he wants to come back here. He already had one headache over here, and I know people would think that he really just has beef with Eli, and it's not really. That's not really all it came down to. It wasn't just black and white like that. He had issues with his whole organization, and so he definitely is not coming back here. And on top of that, he wants to go to a team that
was probably going to win.
That's probably going to win. This team is just as much in shambles as the team he left.
So the team I'll say that he does end up with, since it was part of the question, is the team that Mike actually suggested, Vegas, because of the whole Henry Ruggs thing. I could see him going to Vegas.
The Henry Ruggs thing. Vegas. What's really been circling around on Twitter right now is Vegas and New Orleans, because he's a New Orleans kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's from New Orleans, so I guess that's his favorite team growing up as well. So they could use him over there. Michael Thomas is not coming back. He's out for the rest of the year now. They confirmed it. So he may be on his way back over there, but yeah, that's where I really see him going. There's no way he's coming back here. I mean, I just want to shut that down right now, and I can't believe there are actual freaking Twitter, big Giants Twitter guys out there really trying to entertain the fact that he might come back here. That is so.
And with that, guys, we close out the first edition of the questions section on Young Guns Podcast. It's going to be a recurring thing now for members. But let's now get into the Raiders game, who we were just talking about, the Las Vegas Raiders. I guess we should start out with the big news. Henry Ruggs. Let me hear your thoughts on the situation, man.
I think it is so infuriating that somebody, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, you don't know what the people are going through, and just because they're rich doesn't mean it. At the end of the day, you know the Spider-Man motto. You know the catchphrase. With
the
great
Spider-Man
power,
motto?
with great power comes great responsibility. When you got money like that, when you are obviously famous, you're a star, you've got such more responsibility and accountability for yourself. Like a car accident like this, although the speed that he was clocked at was insanely high and probably would reach more so, a more national.
156 miles per hour. And remember, his Brett alcohol level was double the limit.
Yeah, and so 156 miles an hour is absolutely insane. Like, he probably he shouldn't even be alive.
Yeah,
but
which is one of the things a lot of people are saying. They're surprised he's coming out with minimal scratches. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, yeah, he showed up in his court case in a wheelchair. He looked kind of messed up, but apparently the cars he made impact at 127 miles an hour, which I don't even know how they do that kind of science to know what's the top speed and when. I don't know.
It's physics.
Yeah, that's why I barely graduated high school and never even had a physics class. But
it's okay, bro. You're doing good. You got a house.
I appreciate it, bro. But that being said, it's infuriating with somebody like that who has that kind of accountability to not. Why? Just why? Because of your selfishness, going out and getting drunk, driving out your Corvette at 156 miles an hour, killing an innocent woman who probably was just driving around. It was 3:00 in the morning. Probably has somewhere to be at. Just casually driving around, killing her and her freaking dog, bro. Her freaking dog. Now, when you bring the dog into it, that changes everything, man. That really does. Although I'm extremely saddened by the situation, the dog really got me too when I was sitting there in jury duty. That almost brought me to tears. I'm not gonna lie, but and she burned to death too. That That's like it looked like a Paul Walker situation. Remember the Paul Walker?
I mean, Paul
incident?
Walker almost was clocked in at almost 200 miles an hour, and
Yeah,
that's
and
that like when he, like you were saying, at speeds like over 100, like when you crash, it's almost like instant obliteration, burn to
Yeah,
that type of scenario.
yeah, and so I don't she. God forgive me when saying this, but I really hope she died on impact because burning to death is probably one of the worst ways to die, and especially with suffering injuries of being hit at 127 miles an hour is probably extremely painful, and burning to death is just not pleasant as well. So hopefully it was painless, but man, thoughts and prayers to her family. She. I don't know where she was going. 3 o'clock in the morning. She obviously had somewhere to be. She bring
Bro,
her
if
dog
you're
with her.
walking your dog, it's not out of the question that you're walking your dog at 3 a.m.
Wait, hold on. This wasn't but this was a car accident, right? This wasn't a pedestrian accident.
Oh, was it a car accident? Okay.
No, I'm sorry, but if it was pedestrian, I mean, she would be mashed potatoes.
I mean, that doesn't even matter, bro. Why are you even questioning what she's doing out at 3 a.m.?
Because there wasn't blood at the scene. It was just two cars. Like, there
Mhm.
wasn't, like, craziness. So it was two cars, but she obviously had somewhere to be at 3 o'clock, and she wasn't, being.
Oh, she
I
was
would
a block from her house, is what Marjorie is saying.
Like I said, yeah, like if she,
So
in my
close,
opinion,
Jesus.
she wasn't the one being irresponsible because she had her dog with her too. I don't really think anybody had any ill intentions when you bring your dog with you. So she really was probably just casually driving somewhere.
Bro,
real quick
once
with
again,
her
it doesn't
dog.
even matter. Why are you so
Yeah, but
focused on
I'm
what
trying
she's
to-
doing
I'm
out
trying
at
to-
3 a.m.?
I'm emphasizing the situation that anything can happen. Like, it's so unfortunate for her because it's not like she really put herself in that situation. Anything can happen, and a guy being so irresponsible to do that to somebody is even if
And
it
by the
was
way, to answer your
unintentional,
question
man.
on how they got the speed, so physics is one way, but I just quickly skimmed an article here. He was driving a Corvette, which is a pretty high-tech car. There's computer systems in there that record all that stuff.
Oh, got you. You got the computer in there. Yeah, you can check your. Matter of fact, you're absolutely right. My mechanic told me something about that too.
Hmm.
Okay, so that makes sense. Who did he kill? Was she old? I don't think she was old.
She was
I think
23.
23. Oh my god, man, that's my age, man. That is crazy, dude. And the fact, thinking about this more, I thought he's gonna go to jail for 20-some years. He's not going to jail for long. He'll probably be in jail for 30 days.
This is what I was saying too, and let me say my piece on it now. Henry Ruggs deserves to be served justice. This girl's family deserves justice for her death. He directly caused the death of another human being. That is facts. Whether the intent was there or not, and we know, of course, the intent wasn't there. That's why it's classified as vehicular manslaughter, not murder. Either way, what Henry Ruggs did, he's not. I'm tired of people saying you're a kid.
Oh,
The average age
I
for
think
when you get your
Kadarius
license
Toney-
is like 16.
Kadarius Toney. Although I love
Wait,
KT.
let me finish my
Okay,
thing, bro,
yeah,
and we'll
go
get to KT. You can get your license when you're 16. You're driving at that point for, how old is Henry Ruggs? 21, 20? So he is a
No, he's
young
like 20 I think
adult.
he's 22.
22, he is a young adult, but I'm pretty sure he's been driving for a very long time. You know the rules of the road. And the reason I'm kind of a little bit more hard on this is because one of my friends, one of my close friends, shout out to Cece, his cousin just last month in Michigan actually died in a very similar situation where his cousin was in a car going to the movies and a truck came behind him at like a speed of 147 or something, crashed in, and everybody died. So it's like, and obviously the dude that was driving the truck wasn't intending to kill them. However, you caused the death of a human being. And you were intoxicated, and in Henry Ruggs' case, you were super intoxicated, and you still elected to drive, and you were speeding so fast over the limit that you probably should have, I'm not going to say that, but you know what I'm saying, like, you could have died as well. Your passenger, your girlfriend that was in the passenger, she also could have died. You're so lucky that they're alive. You know what I'm saying? Both of them are lucky that they're alive, and you know what? Let them have that. Let them be alive. However, he deserves the justice that's coming his way, in my opinion, if it does come, because I do think he should go to jail for 20 years. I do. You are a young adult at that point. You are consciously making these decisions. And the NFL also has a service, by the way, a car service for former players and current players. I forgot what it's called, where you can literally call it 24/7 and request a personal chauffeur to take you anywhere. It's been enacted since 2011.
Wow.
And any player at any time can get that car service to take them around, provided by the NFL. He didn't elect to do that. He didn't
Wow.
elect to do an Uber. He elected to drive
That makes everything so much
super
worse.
intoxicated, super speeding, and he killed somebody else. All right. Now, with that being said, I 100% believe everything I said, but I also do have a little bit of empathy for Henry Ruggs and his family because, you know, his life is essentially over. His family is probably going to lose their son to the you know, the prison system and stuff like that. So I do have empathy for that, but it's like that's the consequences of your actions. And then getting to what you were saying, I'm a very pessimistic person when it comes to people that are rich, and Henry Ruggs is rich. He still has enough money to afford bail, which I think is in the hundreds of thousands. He has enough money to afford that, and he probably has enough money to get a really good lawyer. I really hope he doesn't get off with like the minimal punishment.
Me too.
But it is a possibility. And the
Because-
chat has been moving so fast, guys. I'm sorry I
Right.
couldn't keep track, and I'm sorry I'm not gonna get to all of your comments. Oh yeah, and I just saw one. Yeah, he did have an illegal loaded gun in the car as well, which makes
Hopefully
it
that
even
adds
worse.
to it, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully that adds to it. But you know, a lot of people are saying, yeah, you know, everybody's making great points. You know, you should get over 20 years. JFed says prosecutor today said 46 years twice, 2 counts, 46 years. Victim
I don't
plus
know.
his girlfriend. I don't know. Is that a separate situation? But you know that being said. You know, we talk about all this stuff and how much he deserves justice, but you know, these celebrities, man, they really get
They
away
get
with
off,
pretty
yeah.
much
Not
anything.
celebrities, bro,
That's
just
what's
rich
so
people.
flawed.
Just
It's
people
so
with
flawed.
money.
This justice system is so flawed that you can literally give money and you are wiped clean and looked at it as an innocent person again. And it's crazy because he literally, I'll tell you right now, he's not getting a job in the NFL again. That's for sure. He's not. He's done in the NFL. He's done in football. That's definitely for sure. He's done. But the fact that he could probably be a free
Real
man
quick,
again, somebody
I'm sorry to
sent me
cut you
this on
off,
Twitter.
but Ben
Yeah.
Wynn that's tuning in.
Mhm.
Rewind. I don't know how long my little rant was. Rewind like three minutes or so, 4 minutes, maybe 5, and you'll see my thoughts on that. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah, he probably just thought you just had empathy for
Yeah.
him. But you know, what was I gonna say? I completely got my train of thought. But okay. Someone sent me this on Twitter, and I don't know what player it was. I think Dante Stallworth.
All right, can we pause this for a
also-
second? Because this is
Yeah.
getting me a little ticked off. King Justin, did you listen to anything I said before that? When I stated I have a real life experience like that?
Oh, he like I
Like,
said,
what?
people are just tuning in when you said you had empathy for his family, not for really.
Rewind and listen to the words I'm saying.
Yeah, people.
And you're
gotta
definitely
listen.
going to correct yourself.
We literally flamed Henry Ruggs for about 10 minutes.
And that real life example kind of hit. Because
Right.
I have some sort of real life example with it. You know what I'm saying? Cece's like my brother, and he lost somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Go ahead.
But there was a similar situation. Dante Stallworth used to play in the NFL. Seems like a very familiar name. Not that I really comes to mind, but Dante Stallworth also was involved in a vehicular manslaughter incident, and he was able to get off. He only served 24 days in jail, and he was able to get off scot-free. So I hope this is not the situation. I don't know when Dante Stallworth played. I think this is the 90s. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hope the justice system is a little bit more stern and a little bit more strict since then. This is like 30 years ago. So I hope that's not the case. Henry Ruggs, it's not me wanting to see someone in jail. It's like you deserve. It's justice. It's the way it should be. You deserve that. You know,
you ended somebody's life, and
you ended somebody's life.
You made 3
Yeah.
terrible conscious decisions in a row.
And I'd like to move on to Kadarius Toney now as well.
Go ahead. And
Did you see-
Brats, I hope you're joking with that. I saw the Kadarius Toney tweet. I did, and people have a right to be angry with it because Kadarius Toney is not the most articulate person in the world. He later then retweeted something, which was what he meant, which was kind of the exact, well, not the point that I made, but he was like, he just has empathy for Ruggs' family and stuff like that is what he was saying. However, his original tweet did not sound like that at all. So that's why I'm like, people have all the right to be upset with him and stuff like that. And to be honest, Kadarius is not doing himself any favors with the Giants fan base right now by doing that because there's a lot of fans that remember before you showed up.
Already
just
think that he's
think you're some sort of distraction or whatever. You don't want to feed into it more, my guy. But no, I mean with Kadarius' tweet, I would disagree with the first tweet which is why when he's called Henry Ruggs a kid, and I went on that whole rant saying you're not a kid, you could get your license at 16. I will bet you that Henry Ruggs got his license around 16, so he's been driving for at least 6 years. You know the rules of the road. He's a young adult, and as a young adult, he made 3 terrible decisions, drinking so much that you're double over the limit, speeding at 156, and driving that car, and not taking the NFL's chauffeur service, mistake number 4, not calling the Uber, mistake number 5, risking somebody else's life, mistake number 6, taking someone's life, mistake number 7. All that, he did that as a young adult.
Oh wait, hold on. He was in a car with somebody too?
I'm pretty sure his girlfriend was in the car with him.
Oh my god. Dude, the more I hear about this case, the more I want him locked up, dude. The more I hear about this case. Holy crap. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Wow. And in my honest opinion, call me a freaking boomer, or call me a freaking safe driver or whatever. There's no reason for you to go over 90 miles an hour.
There isn't.
Ever. There really isn't ever a reason to go over 90 miles an hour. The fact that you nearly
there never
doubled
is, man.
Nearly doubled it. That you shouldn't go over I've hit 100 miles an hour in a car before, and it is terrifying. It really is. I have to slow down instantly, dude. And that is terrifying to go over 100 miles an hour. You barely have any control. If you just yank your steering wheel, you can flip over and go in a different direction. You have no if you guys ever played,
bro.
I don't want to compare
You
to
call
video
yourself
games.
a scared driver? I'm still learning how to drive, obviously. So,
Dude,
bro,
it's
as I'm
crazy,
learning
man.
how, I'm scared to go over 20 right now,
Dude,
man.
Especially over here in Florida, there's tons of highways that are completely open, so you're pretty much able to do that kind of stuff. Not that you're allowed to, but you have the ability to. I used to work for UPS. It's about an hour away from here, and I have to take a highway at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So nobody was on the street. Nobody was on the street at all. And I used to rush to work going 80, 90 miles an hour. And it was terrifying to me. Even though nobody was on the street, you don't have control of your vehicle. You really don't. You jerk your steering wheel one way, and your car completely shifts, and you can flip over. I don't know how somebody can control a car going 156 miles an hour. I don't know how you can control a car besides going in a straight line. If you even try to turn into a lane at 156 miles an hour, it's going to be a difficult task. That is not easy to do. It's not a video game. Not a video game. All these video games, all these racing games, especially like Forza you play or whatever, you see, you're racing your car at 130, 140.
I'm gonna stop you right there. We're not bringing video games into this conversation.
No.
Bro.
I'm saying the young drivers especially, they go those speed limits because they don't think anything of it. Because like I said, I'm not blaming video games on it.
No, I'm gonna disagree with you because you're indirectly blaming video games.
I'm not blaming it. I'm not blaming it. I'm saying that people don't really understand the power of a car because they never really done that before.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what I mean by you're indirectly blaming it. You are indirectly blaming video games.
I guess, but I'm more so blaming dumb people because there's no way you would really think, a car going over 100 miles an hour is easy to control, or it's just.
And by the way, for people tuning in now, like Joseph and Win, they're saying call the Uber. Like I said, there's also the NFL provided car/chauffeur service that's existed since 2011 for current and former players. So it's been around for 10 years now. Any player can call the number that the NFL provides, and they will get they will get a car and a chauffeur to them to take them where they need to go.
Yeah.
It's a service that every single player has.
And that's what makes it even worse. You literally have an Uber just like for free, just at your fingertips. But Nate brings up a really good comment. He said, see, that's what I really want to know. If you're doing a 156, how do you not crash immediately? Was this on a freeway? This couldn't have been on a freeway. This
Remember,
like
Marjorie was
street.
saying it's a block away from the
this
victim's
looked like
house.
a local street. How do you even build up so much speed
It's
on
a
a local
Corvette,
street?
man. It's not a normal car.
Yeah, but there's only so much distance you can really get between lights and stop signs and stuff like that. He must have ran stop signs. He must have ran lights.
I don't think we're assuming the dude was obeying the lights as he was going.
I know,
to
but
speed,
it's like, how do you not crash beforehand?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy.
And wait, hold up. I saw something right here real quick.
I know we're talking about much more important things, but the way Kush says chauffeur is amazing.
How do you say chauffeur?
You said Schaffer or something like that.
Oh, I said Schaffer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, something like that, something like that.
I can't
I let it
remember.
slide because I just let it slide, man, because I barely know English.
But I mean, I kind of want to shift away from the Henry Ruggs
Yeah.
topic now. We spent like a good maybe 15 minutes on it.
Maybe more, but yeah.
we had to talk about it though because we are facing the Raiders this weekend. Very awkward segue, but what are you thinking about this Raiders game, man?
Well, we don't have to deal with it as much speed. I'll tell you that much.
That's a joke in bad taste, bro. Way too soon.
I mean Henry Ruggs.
Yeah,
I'm
still
not-
way
I-
too
I-
soon.
I-
Still
I'm
way too
sorry.
soon. Bad
I'm
taste.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, Adoree Jackson gets a break this week, but I listen. Ever since, and let's be real here, Adoree Jackson. Henry Ruggs really isn't that much of a big part of the Raiders' offense. That's really going to make a difference on this team that he's gone. The Raiders have been scoring about 30 points a game since John Gruden has left in the past 2 games, and they're just on a complete tear right now. So this one is actually more worrisome than I would say the Carolina game was at the time. This Las Vegas Raiders team is pretty good, man. I like Derek Carr a lot. Their defense is actually playing a lot better as far as pass defense goes. They have 2 corners out there who I think have not allowed a touchdown yet from a wide receiver, which is insane. The 2 of their outside boundary corners, if I'm not mistaken, have not allowed a touchdown. I could be wrong about that now, but I know PFF talked about it a couple weeks ago, and they just had they're coming off the bye as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real quick. Oh yeah, they're talking about the Autobahn now.
Autobahn, yeah. No
everybody-
speed limit.
No speed limit. Yup. And surprisingly, they don't have that many crashes. But it's Germany. It's not America. I guess there's less stupid
Yeah.
people. Who knows?
Well, Autobahn doesn't really, it's like an empty road. But,
It's just it's
Right.
wide. Anyway, it is one of on my bucket list to go there. But I want to answer Calvin's questions real quick because I'm not sure if he's gonna get it back in here. Where he says, "Do you think the 17-game NFL season is too many?" Yeah, I thought it before it was enacted. He says personally he's not a fan of it. Thoughts? It is 100% too many. With the 16-game NFL season, we were already having mad injuries and problems, and you're seeing it even more with the 17-game, and the NFL is trying to work towards an 18-game one. I completely disagree with it. Just a quick thoughts before I kind of go back with the Raiders thing.
I'm really more so upset that our records are all messed up. 9-8, like who?
All-time records and stuff are gonna be really, really.
Yeah,
bad.
records are gonna be messed up. Season records are gonna be messed up, and all time guys like Cooper Kupp is really on the way to break Calvin Johnson's record, and with this extra game, it really helps him. So, that kind of sucks too. Like we're really gonna forget about a lot of these great names because newer players are gonna break them after these 17 games, and if they make it 18 games, forget about it. Everybody's record is gonna be broken in the past. Like Michael Strahan's record has been tied like 3 times. Nobody has broken it yet, but 3 times.
Give it a couple years.
Give it a couple years. Somebody's gonna break it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The NFL doesn't care about player safety, in my opinion, because they're adding games. And then I had Miz on the channel last night for the call-in where he's like, the NFL should have changed from turf to natural gas on a lot of this stuff, which is a legit problem.
No, they might do it now.
They might do it now, but I'm saying they don't care about player health. They're doing it now because now there's an outrage about it, but they should have done it years ago.
But I mean, however it gets done, I don't give a damn. However,
I want it to be done immediately, but guess what? It's not gonna be done until 2023, bro. It's ridiculous.
I know, but as long as it gets done, because we're seeing too much torn ACLs. Look at the way Blake Martinez. It's because that turf is so sturdy. Like once you plant your foot in the ground, it's hard to really move from there. And although it's kind of the point to have more grip and traction, that's not how the human body really works. You know what I'm saying? So the knees don't do well as on turf. So I'm excited for us to maybe we can have a lot less injuries with natural grass. And so, yeah, we have a record high in like calf strains. We have definitely a record high in torn ACLs. So it's getting a lot worse as it's really putting a wear and tear on these players' knees, and their legs and their bodies. So, I'm just excited that something is gonna get done. Is it confirmed it's gonna get done? Are they really trying to make an effort here, or is there just outrage about it and we feel like eventually it will?
I can't answer that question. I'm not sure if it's confirmed or not, but we were talking about it last night. Now in terms of the Raiders though. Remember how I consistently complain about the Giants' offense, and I know a lot of people don't like that or are annoyed by the fact I do. Well, I personally think I have good reason for it. And because of that, I think I have a good reason to be concerned because the Raiders' defense is a good defense.
It's actually decent this year. Usually it's terrible.
Decent.
It's decent
It's
this year.
the 12th best in the league right now.
And Max Crosby
I was
is going
literally
off.
I was literally about to say
Defensive Player of
Max
the Year
Crosby
candidate.
is going to assault whoever he's going to be lined up against.
He's gonna be Matt Parrott.
Even Yannick Ngakoue, because Yannick is going to be matched up
Yannick's
against.
on the team too. Oh, I forgot
Yannick is
about
going to
that.
be matched up against Nate
Wow.
Solder.
Yeah.
Those guys might have a field day. They
We gotta
might
get the
just have
ball
a
out
field day.
quick. We got to get the ball out quick. Same thing that we did against the Saints. The Saints have a decent defensive line.
And I don't know
we
why
got the
we
ball
didn't
out
do
quick.
that like in every single game since the Saints, but yeah.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that Raiders defense not to be messed around with. That pass rush, especially Max Crosby, has proven to be a really, really good edge rusher. It definitely top 15, maybe top 10. I would have to actually go and list it out, but he's definitely in the topper half of starting edge rushers in the NFL. And then he has a great supporting piece in Yannick Ngakoue on the other side as well. The Raiders defensive line I think is underrated. I think their secondary is a little bit underrated as well. You spoke about the secondary just now, didn't you?
Yeah, I spoke about the secondary. There is a stat out
They
there.
are
I don't
actually the
know-
5th best passing defense in the league.
Yeah, that's what I said. They are really good this year. I think two of their starting boundary corners, I believe, and one of them I don't even know his name, but apparently they have not given up a touchdown to opposing wide receiver in coverage, which is crazy.
What does that mean? So then any passing
haven't
touchdown
given up
has
a
come like from Yak or something then?
It possibly, or maybe from the slot, or maybe running or whatever. I'm hearing. Let me look up their corners right now.
Ash, no, I did not. And by the way, shout out to Ash. I don't know if he gave you a shout out. What did Derek Carr said? He said the same thing KT said, and he's getting praised. We finished with that topic, man. I'm not visiting that for a while. When I'm looking at this Raiders passing defense, though, what has them so high is their completion. No, not completion percentage allowed. What is this? What does have them so high?
Also, Casey Hayward, and we all know Casey Hayward, and who was the other one that's playing well? I think it was Nate Hobbs, their nickelback. I think it was Nate Hobbs. It could be Nate Hobbs. So it's their nickelback. So Casey Hayward and Nate Hobbs, and that's a 5th round rookie this year.
Mhm.
Apparently, they have not given up a touchdown.
And this is just a couple stats off the Raiders' pass defense for you guys to hear. On the season, they've allowed 64.5% completion percentage. So it's definitely not the best, but it's pretty up there in terms of being one of the better ones in the league. They've allowed 11 passing touchdowns on the year so far, got 4 picks, but more impressively, they have 33 pass deflections. And they've also only allowed around 220 yards per game while getting 18 sacks. So I mean, it's pretty good. 18 sacks, 61 quarterback hits, which I think is the league high. I could sort that right now and actually figure it out. Yep, the Vegas Raiders, they lead the league in terms of quarterback hits as well. And if I could find pressures here somewhere, for some reason pressures ain't showing, but they're probably high up there in pressures as well. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to be a pretty rough time for our offensive line. And then with our defense versus their offense, what do you think about the Raiders' offense? Obviously now missing Ruggs. How would our defense fare? Do they continue their streak of Seams getting back to form, and do they have another good defensive game?
Wait, what'd you say?
Giants defense against Raiders offense.
Oh, Giants defense versus Raiders offense. Like I said, I don't.
Do we continue our streak of good games, and do we continue getting back to form?
I don't know because, like I said, the Giants defense has been playing, I guess, somewhat decently as far as that bend don't break goes. But like I said, the Raiders have been scoring like 30 points per game, and I think that's like Henry Ruggs was never a big part of that offense anyway. So it's not like with him with him not there that it's really a big difference. It's really not a big difference. Derek Carr has not been using Henry Ruggs that much. He really goes to his other receivers, guys like Ben Edwards, right? A bigger receiver. Guys like Darren Waller at the tight end spot. Darren Waller is absolutely a mismatch, a tight end mismatch nightmare. So, and especially they have a really good 1-2 punch over there as well. Josh Jacobs running the ball pretty well. Kenyon Drake coming in whenever he can and running the ball pretty well. I believe they have a good running back depth as well. Well, let me check out what they're looking like right now. Their offensive line doesn't look great. You got their rookie Alex Leatherwood starting there, and who we thought was a bad pick, and apparently he's not doing so well this year. But they're still, I guess, giving Derek Carr enough time in the pocket. Derek Carr is absolutely having a great season right now. He is one of the candidates for MVP this season, definitely on the lower end of the candidacy, but he's definitely still part of the running for MVP this year. I think same thing like what he was doing in what was it 2016 as well, where he was really having a really good year that year as well. But as far as their
Darren
offense
Waller.
goes, yeah, I mentioned Darren Waller already.
Ligma says he might be out.
Really?
Have to check. I mean, that's
Well,
something we'll check up more as we get closer to the game.
That one would help us a lot. Now, Hunter Renfrow is someone to I guess worry about. I guess Hunter Renfrow is one of, as far as the wide receiver position goes, definitely Derek Carr's favorite target, finding him in the slot. They only have 4 wide receivers active. Check that out. They only have 4 wide receivers active, and one of them is Henry Ruggs. So they have 3 active wide receivers: Brian Edwards, Zay Jones. We all remember Zay Jones, former wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, and Hunter Renfrow. So they have 3 wide receivers right now. You would imagine with the loss of Henry Ruggs and possibly Darren Waller not playing, that they are going to probably activate one from their practice squad. Let me look at their practice squad real quick. Let's see what kind of wide receivers they have here. They have DJ Turner, a wide receiver, Dylan Stoner, Javon Wims, and that's pretty much it. So nobody I really fear. So maybe we can get away. If Darren Waller does not play, we may have a really good shot to stop their offense. Now, winning the game is a whole different battle, but stopping their offense is half of it.
Okay,
Literally,
J-Fed is
so-
now correcting us, saying Waller could be back because the ankle injury he had was 2 weeks
Okay.
ago. So that's,
But-
like I said, as we get closer to the game, we'll know more.
Yeah, Darren Waller would definitely be a huge advantage, for us if he doesn't play. But let's not forget Foster Moreau, the tight end out of UCLA, is pretty damn good. He actually did a really good job in relief of Darren Waller. So he's a guy you got to look for as well. And we all know the Giants really give up a lot of yards and touchdowns to backup tight ends. So there's that.
So, yeah, I
Appreciate
mean, to close out my thoughts on the preview for the Raiders game as of right now, their defense is going to give our offense a really rough time. And their defense has been consistently good all season. Our defense, I'm going to bank on them continuing this run that they started in Carolina of being good and say that they could be good against the Raiders. However, the Raiders' offense has consistently been one of the best in the NFL since this season began. It's literally the tale of a bad team versus a really good team. And because of that, I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to have to go with the Raiders for the win here. Like I said, the Giants, although, we won games since I've said I'm going to pick against the Giants until they show me something. Although we've won games, I don't know if they're going to have the firepower to beat the Raiders this season.
And once again, I think that Raiders defense is going to surprise. I feel like not a lot of people realize how good they are.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
so until they show me they can beat a worthy opponent like the Raiders, because they beat the Saints, who are definitely Jekyll and Hyde this season. They beat the Carolina Panthers, who are definitely falling down a cliff this season. Until they beat a worthy opponent like a Raiders team, I can't see it happening.
That's not me saying I agree with you, and that's not me saying it's not going to be close. I do believe this is going to be very much like Kansas City. We've shown that we could keep it close.
Possibly, yeah.
Not just show me that we could close it out. You know what I'm saying? Show me that we could close it out at this point. That's about it. Any last thoughts before we close out the episode here, though, man?
Not really. I guess for my channel, I guess I'm trying to do more film reviews. I found a method to work around the terrible NFL Game Pass for film, so I'm definitely gonna be putting more film out there for you guys. As far as Giants goes, and other NFL players out there. I appreciate that. But yeah, we'll still be here supporting this team. Although how much crap we talk about this team, me and Kush, your favorite commentators out here, still every Sunday or every time these two teams play, still every week supporting the team. Catch us on the Hubs channel.
This week, yeah.
But is it 1 o'clock? It's 1 o'clock, right?
I'm
At
gonna
home.
assume it's 1 o'clock. It is
Yeah.
at home, yeah.
So it's got to be 1 o'clock. But because they usually put West Coast
It is
games
1 o'clock.
4.
Yep.
So yeah, so there it is. That's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, and then for me, nothing much other than, of course, my preview video. I will hope to get it out on Friday. Probably I'll see if I get something out tomorrow. I got a video out today regarding, which we didn't even get to talk about because we actually had a lot of topics to talk about this week. The mini COVID outbreak the Giants had. I also talked about the fact that we stood pat at the trade deadline. So those, if you guys want to cash them, hear my thoughts on that, it's in today's video. And of course, thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to all y'all. Sunday, Marjorie, Ligma, Easy Lopez, Michael B, J, Fed, Levance, Ash Money, Edward, Benny was in here, Balby was in here, Taj, Michael, you know what I'm saying, F-Star, everybody, Brats, Nate, thank you all for tuning in. You guys make this channel and make this podcast roll around. That's